year,
started
yes.
in January 2019.
Yes.
And she was clay.
Yes.
Mostly clay. Whitney's very versed in, I would say, multi-material.
Yes, correct.
Undergrad was at SCAD.
Yes, SCAD, and my emphasis was in sculpture, so,
Right.
yeah.
So when she got to St. Louis, moved back here with her husband. Not back,
But
moved here.
moved here with my husband, yes.
We joke around that we moved here for love.
Yeah,
She's like,
we did.
We followed us and stayed here. And we got tied into our clay studio.
I did, yes. It was my first home away from home here in St. Louis, so it's been a really huge part of my life here
So
since.
we're really excited that she got into the residency and
I
applied,
know.
because so much of the residency is about providing time and space to really dive into a body of work. To really
Yes.
take yourself to the next level. Whitney took full advantage of the residency, took a workshop in Maine.
I did, yes, with ceramic artist Martha Grover. So that was about a week long and about a 4-year dream of mine. So the residency was able to help me make that possible, and probably one of the best creative experiences of my life. So
We're really glad of that. So Whitney started working on this concept, which I'm going to dive in and then you tell me if I'm wrong.
yes,
Which is about beauty and time.
yes,
Sort of how we treat our beauty products to create a timeless look, right? We're not
Yes.
allowed, or it's not encouraged to age in American culture. And so let's talk about these little
Okay.
guys.
So, I mean, for me, a lot of this is mostly about my issue of time, probably a little bit more so than it is with issues of body image and beauty. I have always felt very challenged by time and the way that I deal with time. I want to freeze time and I want to hang on to time. And I think this investment in my reflection as a woman and then feeling those pressures from society to look a certain way and to maintain my youth is definitely it opened up this whole new way of thinking about aging and time and my mortality, really, more than anything. So I've kind of used these products to invest in my reflection in hopes that it just gives me a sense of control over my own aging and passage of time and how I deal with it. And now that I'm a new mother, and I have been for the last 5 months, I'm watching.
That's actually been our biggest creation.
Yeah, so that's been my biggest creation, I think, since I started the residency. And I had my son in May, and already just in these last few months, watching him grow and change so much has challenged and deepened my relationship with how I think about time and my work and how I see beauty in relation to myself. So, yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of talk about, how do you talk about time through sculpture? Whitney, you fell into mold making somewhere along early in the residency. It was something you wanted to explore. You were doing it with all different products.
Yes.
And then it's sort of solidified to these beauty bottles that you collect.
Yes, I was using found objects initially and starting to teach myself how to build molds, just using different objects and things. And I used to actually keep beauty products in my studio, and I would use them throughout the day to keep my skin moisturized. And then one day I stopped and I really thought about them, and that for the first time ever they were in my creative space. So I invited them into my process for the first time, and that's just sort of how this new journey in this body of work started for me. And so I started taking these bottles, these empty bottles that I would normally discard because they're useless to me once they're empty, and I preserved them by making a mold out of them and reproducing them and then giving them a sense of permanence. So.
Yeah, I find that part really exciting when you take something that is so disposable,
Yes.
and it becomes a clay piece. It's almost as if you could dig it up, as if you're,
Yes.
if you were to find these in Pompeii, what would that sensation be like? So it's interesting how one material to another material really changes the dialogue.
It does.
Of what these are. And we talked a lot about your love of arranging these products at these little bottles. Let's talk a little bit about how you came to loving these bottles. So you've always been fascinated with 1950s, 1960s.
Yes, beauty advertisements. I have, and I've been collecting my visual imagery for years, and these are just a few examples of some of the pieces I've looked at, but I could identify.
I love this. Take time for beauty.
And I identify with it so much because I am totally a subscriber to this lifestyle and I'm very susceptible to beauty advertisements and products, and especially in terms of anti-aging and taking time out for beauty. And I live my life this way, I would say, at home with my own products, whether it's on my bathroom sink or on my own vanity. I have them displayed and arranged, and just their visual presence for me every day just sort of feeds back into this idea that, oh, I'm hanging on to time, I'm preserving time and myself.
And I think there's a ritual to daily moisturizers. And I know this seems really cliche that women, but there's a time that you actually spend by yourself. And as a mother, I can tell you, the only time a kid doesn't know how to bother me is but like you have this time where you, it's this mini 5-minute pampering that we all have it at different levels, whether you love hand lotion or...
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that, we all understand this in some way, shape, or form in our own way, and it was just really exciting to take this other part of my life, a part of my life that's actually a very passionate side of my life, and bring it into my work.
Well, what I love about these older images is not only that they're hilarious, but they also refer to color palette.
Yes, absolutely.
Really looking at how beauty products and how we market and who we market to and why we market to. And we talked a lot about the role of women, looking at your mother and looking at your grandmother and seeing those rituals. My grandmother used to think I showered too much. I didn't oil in my hair enough.
Oh my gosh!
You need peanut butter and so just how the generations evolve, and I think that that's what's so interesting about the color palette.
And growing up around my grandparents, I think was more familiar with their ways or their relationships with beauty and how they use products and the relationships they had with products, and even beyond this, going into plastic surgery too. But which I think is a whole nother subject outside of just like beauty and packaging and marketing. But I learned, I think, through them, watching them, or the way that they displayed products in their bathrooms and on their vanities, how they had relationships with those things. There's a formality to it, there's a ritual, and I've brought that with me in my life. And it's been a part of my own kind of journey.
Yeah, and one of the great things about the size of the intimacy of them, how they're arranged as little families. We talked a lot, now that you have a family, about how these become little portraits of families, but during COVID, you were really able to jump into this mold-making process at home. I just want you to explain it a little bit, because it's super interesting.
It is. So I know that they're a bit crude, but I really think it does highlight my process a lot. I would take just discarded or empty product bottles, things that I've used, things that were, I guess, staples in my bathroom and in my beauty regimen, and I would make these plaster molds out of them. And then from there, I take a product, or not a product, but a material called slip, which is basically like liquefied clay, and I cast these objects over and over and over again in that clay and fire them. And then instead of glazing, because I felt very limited by glaze in this, which ended up being a good thing for me because it allowed me to kind of reconnect with that sculptor that I really am, I opted for paint instead of glaze in this to really capture that color palette and that buttery, plasticky surface.
Say you're really able to get that matte finish, so you don't know if it's clay or plastic.
You don't know if it's clay, you don't know if it's plastic, but it's porcelain, and it's a satin latex paint. And finally I found something that gave me that quality, but it was just very freeing to kind of break away from the obligation to glaze when you're working in ceramics. And it just was, I think that this just reads more as this now.
Talk to me about the idea of building an installation, because you take you approach this as if you're going to a beauty counter. I've had a lot of people walk in the gallery and be like, ooh, what's this? And get right into it. And I love that impact of you being pulled in.
And it has a very, and I love the way that it's lit, because it has a very, it feels like a store. I feel like I'm going into a Sephora, but there's something about it that's a little bit more personal to me and honest, and that these are kind of more just random, not random, but just kind of mixed match groupings of these bottles, which I think is a little bit more consistent with my personal relationship with them. I thought about doing, just kind of lining things up, keeping the same with the same and lining them up. But I thought that's just more about, that's a store experience. This, I wanted to bring a little bit more of my experience and the way that I live with these objects, the way I see these objects and arrange these objects. And the different groupings are very consistent with the different types of products that I live with and have by my side every day. So that's why I kind of chose to mix them up and display them this way.
So how many are here?
I think there's a total of 56.
Yeah, we were.
Yes, I know.
What I appreciate about your work is that you're not afraid of the feminine. You're
No.
not afraid to be girly.
No.
Whatever stereotypes we're moving into in 2020. And they're very, to me, sweet and intimate, but I love that they're clay.
Yeah, they're very, I think this is one of the most honest bodies of work that I've made in a really long time. It's, it was fun for me to be able to be honest and forward with the fact that despite all the encouragement we have today to accept our bodies and ourself and our aging process, I still struggle with that. And I am still a subscriber to these things, and it was just nice to bring that out and to talk about it openly. So.
Yeah, honesty is always a really strong.
It's so, I really find something, that's what I wanted, that's how these made me feel. They made me feel very brave. I thought, no, but despite it all, I still struggle with that. But it's fun for me to bring it forward, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. It might, even if it's something I am fearful of, I have so much fun talking about it. It might be hard for me, but it can be great for my work.
And then, so what's next? When you look at these,
Oh,
gosh. I know you're always piddling around.
I'm always piddling around. I've been thinking a little bit about scale. Do these always stay smaller and intimate, or do they start becoming larger? These also remind me of a lot of the toys and the things that I played with when I was a little girl, and I loved playing with my grandmother's cosmetics and my mother's cosmetics and even some of my great-grandmother's cosmetics. And the scale that they were in my 6-year-old hands versus what they are now, I'm starting to think about them. So as the wheels are churning, I'm starting to think about scale and where these can go. And I think that's where I am with that at this moment. So challenging the scale of these objects individually is probably going to be my next step. And always exploring color palettes.
Yeah, I love it. I love
the
it.
colors.
Latex, and you just went for it. And we're all adaptable right now to how we work in our studios.
Yes.
We're excited to get our studios here up and running, get you back in them.
Oh, I can't wait to be back.
Yeah.
That's been a real challenge in all of this, but
Well, I want to
soon.
thank you so much.
Oh, Stefanie, thank you so much for everything.
I'm wondering if there's any questions or we're good. I want to thank Jessica Hart and Bailey for being behind the scenes. I'm going to remind you guys again, this gallery show comes down Saturday, and then give us a minute or two. This whole gallery will be wonderful shopping for the holidays, artist-made products. You're supporting artists, you're supporting our community programs when you come and shop here. So please come and check us out. We're still doing tours if you want to sign up online. And thank everybody for their patience as we build our studios and our new home and we get settled in. Thank you so much.
Stefanie, thank you.